Let's rewind like a VHS. Turn back the time, feel the beat in our chest. Make sure that we never forget. Let's rewind like a VHS. VHS, VHS. Let's rewind like a VHS. VHS, VHS. Let's rewind like a VHS. Let's concede that we wanna believe that the past was only a dream, just a place that we never could leave. Follow us on the way to retrieve. VHS, VHS. Let's rewind like a VHS. VHS, VHS. Let's rewind like a VHS. Turn back the time, feel the beat in our chest. Make sure that we never forget. Let's rewind like a VHS. VHS, VHS. Let's rewind like a VHS. VHS, VHS. Let's rewind like a VHS. Let's concede that we wanna believe that the past was only a dream, just a place that we never could leave. Follow us on the way to retrieve. VHS, VHS. Let's rewind like a VHS. VHS, VHS. Let's rewind like a VHS.
What is up, everyone? DJ Anubis here with you on the Metal Time Radio podcast with another episode of the Cinematic Synergy with my great friend and co-host Kevin Lambert of the Entertainment Headquarters. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me.
And if you don't know, we take this little nice show and we go once a month where we alternate picks, choosing a movie from past, present, or future to review. And this time around was your choice because you were in the middle of September, which we will call Samurai Ember, where he is basically going with a little bit of a theme. So we decided to go ahead and do his pick, which is 2013's 47 Ronin. Before we get into everything, let me go ahead and just give people the trailer here to let them refresh themselves about what this film is about, and then we'll dive right into it. But here is the trailer for 47 Ronin.
I'm looking for someone who was sold to you. A half-breed banished from our land. Why did you come for me? Those who enslaved you have taken over our land.
Mountains of corpses will not stand in our way.
We believe
you are the only one who can help us.
Their army is infinite.
We are 47.
If we do this, there's no coming back. The enemy will be watching. I know what you are.
You have no idea.
I'm not afraid of you.
You should be.
Your life belongs to us. Then take it if you can. Come on.
And there you have it. The trailer for 47 Ronin, which is a 2013 American historical fantasy action film directed by Carl Wrench and stars Keanu Reeves, Hayayuki Sanada, Tadanobu Asano. Interesting, because there is an Asano name in there as well. Rinko Kikuchi and Ko Shibasaki. Tell me first, like, what made you want to choose this film? And obviously, I said you're kind of doing a theme, but what about this film in particular did you want to watch it and review it?
So obviously, as you've mentioned, I am kind of like, it wasn't meant to be like Samurai Month, if that's what you want to call it, but it's just kind of fallen into place that that's what it's kind of become. And knowing that it was my pick this month, whether it had been Samurai Month or not, I probably would have picked this anyway, because I was a fan of this movie when it first came out in 2013, but I haven't probably watched it since I seen it when it first came out. So, you know, it's now 2025. So I thought myself it's a good opportunity to check it out, and it just fitted in perfectly with what we had planned for the rest of the month.
Yeah. Now, it also has Kari Hayuki Tagawa, who we are very familiar with from a lot of his past films, including Mortal Kombat as Shang Tsung. He also was in, Rising Sun with Sean Connery.
Yeah.
So he's been a staple in a lot of films as an Asian actor, and I love his work. Everything he does, he just brings like a great presence to it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know at the time. I've never seen this before, so I knew about it, just never watched it. So
cool.
watching how you have Keanu and Sonata in the same film when they just got doing John Wick 4, so I didn't know they had a prior connection. So that's kind of cool as well.
Yeah, so this was the very first film that I actually seen Hiroshi Sanada in. So after I'd seen this particular movie, obviously I thought, oh, there's something about him. Like, he had a presence in this film. And because he had this presence in my mind, I'm thinking, I hope he continues to grow and, you know, have a successful career within the world and confines of Hollywood, outside of China and the East.
Well, it's so funny because, you know, he was also in the original Ring film.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when I went back to watch that not too long, I was like, "Is that Sonata?" I was like, "Holy shit, it is!" I thought that was the coolest thing because I had not really known anything about him at that time when I saw it. So, the guy's been around forever, but like you said, I hope he continues to build on the Hollywood thing because he's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, well, he's definitely done well. Like, obviously, 47 Ronin might have been like just like his entrance. Then, yeah, like you see, he's had the Ring, and he has been in other things, but I'm not sure if I've seen him. But then, obviously, thanks to the success of Shogun, and I would also say with Mortal Kombat, because despite you know the criticisms of that particular film, him as Scorpion was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Yeah.
Yep. That's why I'm sort of kind of irritated, just because I don't want to hijack this, but like, just I wish they had just concentrated on Scorpion Sub-Zero's plot rather than worry about Cole in that film, because that was very interesting. It was very well done. Taslim was amazing as Sub-Zero. I just, yeah, that's just, those guys
Yeah,
are great.
the way the film started, they highlighted the beginning and the history of Scorpion and Sub-Zero. And then it kind of fades away after the first few minutes, and then it's all about this mysterious character and the mystery around this core character. And then you don't really get Sonata and Taslim as Scorpion and Sub-Zero again till virtually the last battle of the movie.
Right.
Which kind of is frustrating. So I'm hoping they've learned the lesson with the sequel, which now is being pushed back to next year, which in many ways is also kind of frustrating. But hopefully they're doing it because it's not because they're worried. I hope they're doing it because they've got a lot of faith in it and they think it's going to blow out of the water.
Yep. So initially, when I thought about this film, I didn't have any knowledge on it, and I thought initially it might be like a comic movie or a graphic novel, but however, it's based off an actual real group of guys.
Yeah.
In Japanese history. So now, do you have a lot of knowledge in this particular field with this?
So the 47 Ronin, there is another 47 Ronin film, which I don't know. I think I sent you a link to.
It's Battle of the
back.
47 Ronin.
Yeah. That is the original historical event. So
that's what I was wondering, because I wondered if the actual story had any kind of like theme of witchcraft, because this goes off kind of like the deep end a little bit with the fantasy aspect of it.
So this takes elements from the real life history and elements of like the 47 Ronin story, but then they've kind of fictionalized it and fantasized it with bringing in the witches and the giants. But it's also connected to a work which is called, I can't pronounce the Chinese word, but it's the interpretation of that word is the Treasury of the Loyal Retainers, which is another kind of, it's a mixture of the 47 Ronin story with this kind of other story, and they've combined them two to make this fantasy film.
Yeah. So basically what we have is there's this group, Lord Osano, who discovers and finds a half Japanese, half English outcast by the name of Kai. And obviously, initially, they're thinking he's like in league with demons and stuff like that. But they end up taking him, kind of taking him in. He's still an outcast within the clan, but there's like a group of them that really appreciate him, but they can't really be friends with him because it's frowned upon the clan itself. So there's like this little bit of respect, because Kai can be a good tracker. He knows he sees things that no one else does when it comes to like, spotting demons or witches that transform into creatures and everything else. So
I think why they also frown upon him is because, of course, the Lord, which is it's Lord Asano. He's the benevolent ruler of Akko domain. So he obviously finds him, and there is a samurai that is a young, which is like his son, that goes to kill him, but then the Lord stops him. Yep. And so he takes a liking to him, and he like integrates him into the kingdom and into the culture and society. But like you say, it's kind of frowned upon him because he's not he wasn't born into the clan. He's kind of been simulated into it. But I think another reason why there's like a big no-no is because he falls in love with Miki, the daughter.
Yeah.
And and then obviously because there's like this whole, it's about respect, it's about the bloodlines, it's about the history within the society. So they're worried about the ancestry could be getting spoilt by having this kind of wasn't born into this society, or born into their culture, or born into their kingdom. He's kind of been brought in, and they kind of class him as like somebody that's gonna, you know, taint the bloodline and the ancestry of this kingdom.
Right. Yeah. So, and obviously that's a theme that, you know, gets played even outside of this type of plot. You know, you have The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, which kind of deals with that, where, you know, the white man is the outcast and the one that we shouldn't be sharing our culture with, and all this and all that kind of stuff. But so, yeah, Sonata plays Yoshio Oshi, the leader of the Ronin. Although I learned, of course, again, I'm learning things, but Ronin is actually, if you're been stripped of your samurai title, you get called a Ronin. So technically, he's still a samurai at the beginning of the film before things fall apart a little bit.
It's also a Ronin is somebody who is a samurai, but every samurai is under like a samurai master. So if you are a lone survival samurai, but you don't have a master, you'll be classed as a Ronin.
Yep. And so again, we didn't have again. You said Todanobu Asano, who plays Lord Yoshinaka Kira.
Yeah.
We have what is her name here? Rinko Kitakuchi. She's the Japanese actress who plays the witch.
Yes.
Mizuki, and she plays a big factor in this, where she can transform into creatures, whether it's a fox or like a dragon or something like that, or even create. Which I thought, even though the CGI was a bit crazy, it kind of worked for me in this. Like I thought, okay, it worked fine.
It works for this kind of movie.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to find our main guy. Is it maybe it's Asano? Yeah. So Asano is the one that plays like the bad guy. He's like our main villain. He's trying to basically overtake the Akko domain, and his plan is to basically use the witch as a way to gain deception and have the
because I think because like his father, I think, was Lord Asano, and now he's now the younger Asano. So Miki Asano is the daughter. Then you've got Lord Yoshinaki Kira, who is Lord. So it's Lord Kira who is the villain.
Yes,
he's the Sano's rival. So it's Lord Kira. Lord Yoshinaki Kira is his rival, and so basically, obviously, you've got the Masters of Ceremonies. That's kind of, he wants to take over Asano's kingdom.
Yep.
And he kind of challenges him, but everything's meant to be done fairly. Everything's meant to be done like in a fair way during this trial and ceremony and this, you know, samurai swords competition. So the master of the ceremony sets it up, and then obviously Sano says, right now, get me best samurai to take on your best samurai. Little do they know that behind the scenes, you've got Lord Akira, who is like the right-hand man of the Masters of Ceremony, who's plotted with the witch to basically poison the lead samurai, and also their samurai. He's not just like a dude like in a he's like a muscular, like giant of a man. He's like, you can tell there's something beneath it all.
And I actually love that armor. It's so cool. I love the armor on that.
Yeah. So like obviously, so straight away it's basically set up for him to lose, Asano to lose, and if he loses the kingdom. But then what also happens, obviously, because Keanu Reeves' character Kai isn't an official samurai, or is not officially within the royal party or within their community, he figures out what's going on pretty quickly, because there is a scene earlier where you see the witch who's got a brown eye and a blue eye. She is like, you know, she has this ability to to be like a chameleon and transform herself into different animals or different creatures.
Yeah.
And she's basically observing everything when they go on this hunt, and he notices the white fox, which has got the blue eye and the brown eye. So he also thinks, well, that's strange, and because the way the fox looks at him, it doesn't look at him like a regular fox, or like it looks like it's scouting the area, doing something. So then later on, when you're introduced to the witch, you see she's got the blue eye and the brown eye, so you immediately know that was her, and she's deliberately scoured everything to kind of figure out who the best fighter is, what their capabilities are as an army. She's basically done that for Lord Akira to be able to take control of the situation, and then she poisons the main samurai, but then out of desperation, Kai, played by Keanu Reeves, decides to put on the samurai army to go and face off to get this samurai warrior from the other side, and he dramatically gets beaten.
Yeah.
And not only does he get beaten, when the master ceremony says that he's a half-breed, and he says he's not a real samurai, he feels dishonored, and he feels totally, humiliated, and that Asano has done this to kind of like, humiliate him, or he's not like, he doesn't have any honor. So he basically makes him assassinate himself.
Yeah. Commit seppuku. Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously Keanu Reeves' character gets sold and is like taken away. And in the meantime, you've got Lord Akira, who, with the witch, is now starting to build power and take over things.
Yeah. So, as you said, Kai was trying to basically help and save face for Asano and his clan, but because he's not really seasoned samurai, like in terms of how he battles, like he got beat around pretty easily by this big, large, dark samurai, and then gets exposed when his helmet comes off, and that leads to Nagagori Asano having to commit seppuku to basically remain honor. Like that's the thing. So like the emperor, played by Tagawa, is basically like, yeah, the only punishment is death, and so obviously he gives Asano the chance to remain honor by killing himself.
Yeah.
But that leaves, of course, Mika, his daughter, there, which of course Kira takes advantage of by like, okay, you guys have basically embarrassed everybody. We're gonna take over Akko, and then but Kira's like, well, or at least the emperor says, well, we can keep these kingdoms together, but Kira's gonna marry Mika and basically become the new lord of this Akko domain. To which he then says the remaining samurai there, including Oshi, he says basically, you guys are now running, you're being stripped of your samurai title. You'll be by yourself. So this is what you said earlier, where it's like they're samurai, but they're their own people. So they're Ronin, and they're just like mercenaries almost, that they have to go be on their own or whatever. But they get taken, their swords get taken, their armor gets taken, and they get banished. And then, of course, they take Kai to some island that he was sold as a slave on this island. So you can go ahead and explain some of that.
So obviously, this is where the name, the 47 Ronin, comes in now, because you've got these 47 samurai that are now completely stripped. And, they now become the 47 Ronin. And the Ronin now, they have to venture out and kind of just try to survive on their own, away from everything else. And obviously, like you said, what's her name? You've now got the Mika, yeah. Who is now basically, she's now having to be forced to marry this guy, and Kira, and she in her mind knows something isn't right. This
All right, it should
wasn't
be
done.
real quick. So when the samurais got banished, the emperor said that you're being banished, but you are not allowed to come back for revenge. That's a very important factor. You are not allowed to come back for revenge for your master. So once they're banished, that's supposed to be it. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the master of ceremonies, he said, for some reason, even though you've got, Lord Kira, the master of ceremonies, who was also trying to take over this kingdom, seems to have more power than Lord Kira. It's like he's like listened to more. And so basically he says, like you say, you are no longer allowed to, get revenge on this. I was dishonored. Your emperor has done the honorable thing and committed suicide, sacrifice himself. You have now been stripped beyond your way. And then you've got Miki, who's like knows something's not completely right. But then you've got Anara's character who he as the plot progresses, he now starts to see things that this wasn't done fairly.
Yeah, initially, whenever Kai would bring up about things that he would see, Oshi would be like, "Well, are you saying that you're a demon?" And he's like, "No." And he says, "Well, then you're just having a crush on some pretty girl." So even for them as like legit samurai, they believe in some of the supernatural stuff, but then at the same time, they're kind of like, when it comes to men, they're just kind of like, yeah, we don't believe in witches and stuff like that. Of course, they end up having to learn the hard way, but that's basically what you're saying, is that Oshi later on, after being banished, sees that Kai was right about what he was talking about.
So basically, like you see, they were banished, and then the film jumps to a year later. And a year after, Oshi's been released, and he's seeing things, he now comes to realize that Kai somehow manipulated the situation, and realizes that this witch, this Mizuki, did something to, what was his name? Asano. And because he did something to Asano, obviously it then created a situation for the samurais to lose, and to lose their honor, to lose their name, to lose their place within the kingdom. So this is where he decides, even though he promised he wouldn't go for revenge, that's when he slowly goes to try and track people down and get them all back together, to then also find Kai and rescue Kai, who's been in this prison, who's like fighting giants and trolls and different mythical characters and people.
Yeah, I kind of wish they would have, because obviously we know like a year is passing, because that's when they tell Mika that she'll have a year to grieve her father, and then she'll marry Kira at the end of the year. But like when we get to Kai and he's as a slave fighting in these like combat tournaments, it's like I kind of wish they would have given us a little bit in terms of his growth as a fighter, because by the time we get to him, he's like pretty good fighter, like with everything,
Yeah, like you see, when he fought in the samurai competition, he was easily defeated, but he's been locked in this kind of prison for over a year, so he's kind of honed his skills and learned new skills as a samurai warrior. Right. And then of course when OC goes to rescue him and they break him out of this prison, he then sees that there is kind of a maturity and a change in Kai. And then basically Oshi explains to Kai, he realizes that there has been some sort of trickery here. And then he starts talking to Kai about a part of like who he is. And then it goes back to the beginning of the movie where you first see Kai running away in the forest. And he's not just in any forest, he's in this kind of forbidden mythical forest known as the Tengu forest.
Yep.
And so they have got no weapons, they've got kind of nothing to the name. So for them to go to face Lord Kira and Mizuki the Witch, they need swords. So they then decide, right, we need to go into the Forbidden Planet, the Forbidden Forbidden Planet. It's because I've just been to that store today. To go into the Forbidden Forest and kind of try to contact and getting a contact with the Tenzu, which are these mythical monks and warriors in their own right, to try and get these swords from them.
Yeah, and that's actually one of my more favorite parts of the film, especially with Oshi. So, like when Kai goes to face like this creature that is inside this cave, there's like one sword in the middle, and that's a pretty badass sword. But they're having this discussion, but one thing that Kai tells Oshi before they, push on through the cave, and he goes and does his thing. He says, "Don't believe everything you see." I forget some of the other terminology he used, but he's just like, "Don't fall for their tricks." Like that's if you draw your sword, they will kill you.
Yeah, it's like a test to see if they have the ability to withstand and hold back, and to have self-discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about that. So he gets told not to pull your sword, do not raise your sword, but then the illusion he showcases of all these men and like his family being slaughtered, and he's trying, he first when he sees it, he's like ready to pull on the sword, and then you've got Kai who's facing, I guess, the Tenku leader, who's like this creature with widened eyes, who's like a mythical monk. And luckily, Oshi holds back and is disciplined enough not to pull his sword. And because he doesn't, and Kai is able to defeat or to, go against the lead monk, they win the swords. They're granted the swords for, having the discipline and the kind of pass the test. That was the test to get these swords.
Yep. And so they're able to get a hold of some swords. They end up going to where the wedding is supposed to be taking place for Kira and Mika, but the witch has laid like a trap for them, because she is basically, she kind of like seduced in some ways Oshi's son, Chikara. And so she's able to get information about what their plan is and all that. So there's like this trap that's set, and fireballs and arrows.
Yeah.
They end up losing some of the Ronin in this. There's one Takato Yonemoto who plays Basho. He's like the bigger dude.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome moment there. He's protecting, I forget, it's either Oshi or someone else, but he's taking all these arrows in the back.
Yeah.
And he's like carried out of there and whatnot.
Yeah, because it's like, obviously this takes place when Kai and Oshi, they decide we need to go find Lord Kira, and so what happens is he's on a pilgrimage for his wedding at this shrine. Pilgrimage, why do you say? I cannot say.
Pilgrimage, yep, you're good.
That's the right way.
Yeah,
so he's doing that, and then obviously he knows that Kai and Oshi are coming for him. So he sets up this amazing trap. It was amazing that they're all camped out, and then obviously they're attacked. There's fireballs and everything going on. And then after the initial attack where a lot of the Ronin are killed, that's when Mizuki presents Miki, the sister, with Oshi's sword, and basically trying to give the illusion that they're all dead and there's no hope for her. She needs to just succumb to the idea that you have to marry Lord Kira.
Yep. Yeah, so that witch is pretty conniving. She's pretty evil.
Yeah.
But there is like the moment that I also like in this film where after the attack and the trap, Basho is dying. So he's dying from his wounds, and Kai is there and a few others. And there's this nice moment where Basho's like, I have to confession to make, Kai. When we were little, I would throw stones at your hut, and because I didn't like you, or something to that effect. And then he says, I used to hide, so you wouldn't know it was me. But Kai goes, well, I knew it was you because your belly was sticking out behind a tree. And I just thought that moment was so funny and not so nice. But it was a nice moment. I really liked the actor who played Basho. I think that was a good choice for that particular character. But yeah, the dialogue was very good in that, and kind of lightens that mood a little bit. But obviously, they lost some Ronin through that attack, and now the one thing that Kai says is, he tells Oshi's like, well, look, they think we're dead, so now we're basically ghosts, and we can go and attack them, and they won't be seeing it coming.
Yeah. And it's great what they did, how they attacked the castle. So obviously they're preparing for the wedding. And the previous ceremony that we had, we saw that there was like performers at the castle before the samurai tournament. So on the road heading towards the location of the wedding, you've got the same performers. So the remaining Ronin and Kai and Osi decide, right, we'll take their place and pretend we are the performers and we'll infiltrate the castle. So that's basically what happens. They infiltrate the castle when they pretend, that they're these performers. And soon Mizuki realizes what's going on, and next thing you know, all hell breaks loose. And, Miki, who is gonna get married, she's like, Kai goes to save her, and then you finally have that fantastic one-to-one battle with Osi and Lord Kira. Yeah, and then you also have the battle with Kai against Mizuki, where, as you know, as a youngling, he fled the Forbidden Forest, and no one kind of knew what his backstory was. They knew he was a half-breed. We knew that he was half Chinese or Japanese and half something else, but you didn't really know what it was. But then it's finally revealed the other half of him is Tengu.
Yep.
So because he has Tengu in his blood, he now has like mythical powers. Which
and that was kind of like something that Kai was debating with that demon in the cave. He's like, the demon or whatever, he's like, did you really find what you were looking for when you ran away? Like, here you are trying to help humans who actually resent you and dislike you. But Kai's like, well, not all of them are like this, and these are good people that have a good cause, and that's sort of his human side talking to the demon. So so obviously, he's able to do special things as half human and half demon.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder as well, because it's never really given any detail to Mizuki the witch's backstory.
Right.
It makes me wonder if she was a Tengu herself who turned bad. Or is she something else?
That's something I would have liked to have a little more information on too, because we just don't know like where she comes from. But obviously with her powers, like she has to be some sort of demon,
Yes. Yeah, so the great thing is obviously there's the battle with Oshi and Lord Kira, who luckily Oshi gets the upper hand and is able to behead Lord Kira. And there's that excellent moment where he's standing and he holds the head up, and all you've got is this head with this long black mane of hair. And of course, Kai is able to defeat Mizuki. The special effects I found with the dragon, like you said, work all kind of goofy, like anime style. Like it just, it felt like, like how you get these current live action movies where, for example, Sonic the Hedgehog. So Sonic the Hedgehog will have real actors, but then the animation is like of the animated characters. I feel as if that's what I was watching. And
when oh,
oh, you froze.
did I
Yeah, you froze.
still?
No, you're fine there. You're fine
Okay.
there.
I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah, you put your head down and you just never lifted it back up.
Well, I mean, for a minute, like we both went off screen. I'm like, what's that all about? So I don't know.
All right.
Let me
But
check.
I'll continue what I was saying. So, like, for me, the animation style, it reminded me of what they currently do with live action, like the children's movie, like Sonic the Hedgehog, where they have like real actors and then they'll have Sonic is the animated version of Sonic that we know for the games and then incorporate them both. I felt like some of the action was similar to that, especially with the dragon effects. Where obviously, but this is early 2000 special effects as well, remind you, like 2013 compared to 2025.
Didn't they do like the Clash of the Titans remake in 2011 or something? So it had that kind of feel about it.
Yeah, and there's another film that's similar to this in terms of like it mixes reality with fantasy, The Great Wall with Matt Damon, where basically that's the Wall of China, but they mythically make like why is there a Great Wall, and then the story is because there's these monsters that live on the other side of it, and they use similar CGI for the creature effects.
So obviously you know, if you can get past some of the CGI, like I thought the CGI with the movement, like in the cave with when they're fighting and all that looked really cool. The creatures themselves didn't look bad, but I think they did try to spend too much time on them, and rather than maybe just kind of put them in the background. But either way, it's not like a huge ordeal.
Yeah, the best effects for me is when they had the initial attack.
Yeah,
you know, when they attacked, and you know the big dude samurai.
Yeah.
Who's like their main samurai guy. Like the effects with him, I think, are really quite well done. Especially, I also find it's whatever the light is. Like if they're doing the CGI like that, this type of CGI, and it's like meant to be during daytime, I think you could kind of tell.
Yeah.
But there were effects with him, the giant bad samurai who was fighting like the final battle, and it looked really good because he's silver and dark and black and silver. So I think it also depends on what creature you're bringing to the screen, and like this, you know, whether it's a nighttime sequence or a daytime sequence.
Right. So Oshi ends up killing Kira and taking his head, and then of course Kai kills the witch by slotting her when she tries to attack Mika. And this is where, like, initially, like I said before, I didn't know much history of this before I watched it, but so they end up winning basically and getting the domain of Akko back, but this is where the whole like you're not supposed to take revenge thing comes into play, and so the Emperor comes and basically is telling him that you did honor your lord by getting his name cleared, but you still broke my rule of revenge, so you're all going to have to kill yourselves to regain your honor. But he did give him the title of samurai, and then he also which was a good moment. And this moment fooled me because I thought he was going to save them all, but he ends up just saving Chikara, who's Oshi's son, for the bloodline. Says that he'll keep Chikara alive, but everyone else has to go and take themselves, including Kai. At first, I was like so pissed. I'm like, this is a shitty ending. Like I'm thinking, fuck. But probably because, and again, you would know this more than me, the history of the 47 Ronin probably means that they did have to kill themselves for what they did.
It's all to do with honor and tradition, and obviously back then, if say they hadn't, it's also about the family lineage. So say you were the son of somebody who was a samurai, and then they got stripped to be your own, and that would be obviously a black mark on that family's lineage. The fact that they are now getting that title back, but they still have to commit the act of ending their lives. History will show that they were still a samurai when they did that. So anybody who's under their lineage, that wouldn't be like, I guess, a mark on their name.
Yeah.
So it's all about honor and respect. And of course, Kai being a Tenzu, I was thinking if they all died, he was going to come back and bring them all back to life with his magical powers. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought
here's the other thing I had a question about was, so when Naganori Asano commits seppuku, I think he had a right-hand man to take his head afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So who was taking the heads of everyone else when they were committing seppuku at the end? Because to my knowledge, and now they also call this hirikiri, but what is the difference? So like, if you're committing seppuku with honor, generally you have someone that takes your head unless it's supposed to be a shameful thing. So let's say, since Asana was doing it because of a punishment, was that more of taking his head more to be like to bring shame? Or I'm not really clear on how that's supposed to work with seppuku, because I've always assumed that when they commit that act, that there has to be like someone they can trust, that they revere, that will take their head. Because even in Shogun, we see moments of like that in there. And that
I think it depends. It depends if you've got family. If it's not family, it'll be a close family friend, or it'll be like a fellow general or fellow samurai. But reading here, what it also says, it says the Ronin and Kai surrender themselves to authorities of the Back Yufu and are sentenced to death having violated the shogun. But it says how after the violated the shogun prohibiting them to avenge Asano. However, the shogun declares that they followed the principles of Bushido and restores their honor as a samurai. So yes, they broke the rules of avenging, but they did it in a way that they still honored the traditions of the samurai. So it's because they didn't just go straight out and start gutting people, and they followed, like, I guess, a key list of rules that they have to follow.
Yeah.
And they didn't break them other rules, that they kind of regained the honor as a samurai. And because they did regain the honor as a samurai, if you aren't a samurai, or if you break them and you break them, what would happen is after you commit the suicide, do the act, your bodies would just be taken away and just hide in a ditch or hide in garbage.
Right.
But because they did it in such an honorable way, they will now get a respectable burial, and they will be given a gravestone which would have their name on, that will say Samurai Oshindo or Samurai Kai, so their name would now have respect on it, even though, yes, they're going to have to commit the act out, but that's also a part to show that they're honorable, to be able to do that, ceremony to take your own life.
Yeah, the other thing that kind of bothered me, and it's again a minor issue, but the emperor says at the end that, they regained the honor of their lord Asano because he was deceived. And at the time when Asano was bewitched, he was trying to kill Kira, which was all part of his plan to get him exposed as a bad lord. And so that's why the emperor told him he needed to die for his actions, for being disgraceful. But the emperor tells the group, he says, you all were deceived, including your lord, but you've regained his honor by exposing Kira basically and taking him down, but you still broke my rules as revenge. So I kept saying to myself, well, if the emperor is acknowledging that everyone was duped by Kira, then they technically shouldn't be having to kill themselves. You know,
Yeah.
because even the emperor got duped the same
Yeah,
way. So,
yeah, they were all duped, but they broke the emperor's rule. And I think, yes, it's all to do with honor, it's all to do with respect, but I also think it's to do with politicalness. So, for example, he is the emperor,
yeah,
and yes, he was duped, but then if he doesn't make them do what they do, then
he's not going to acknowledge that he got duped. He's like, it's not my fault.
yeah, it'll make him look weak. So you forget this was
Yeah.
like the Joseon era of Japan. So if you look
Yeah.
weak to other warlords or other emperors, they're going, he's weak enough to maybe take over, you know. So
Yeah.
it's all to do with that, and of course, Oshi's bloodline is like kept intact because they don't kill his son. So. And so he'll probably be able to go forth the son and tell his children, his grandchildren about the legacy of Osi in the 47 Ronin and what they did now. They saved, you know, the respect of the Asano, you know, legacy and name and empire.
Yeah.
So it's all to do with respect, honor, and to keep tradition. And obviously, when it comes to the emperor, it's all political. Like, I got duped, but no one's going to know I got duped.
No one's going to live to tell that story that I got duped. Yeah. So give me your final thoughts and your rating for 47 Ronin.
So I haven't seen this movie since probably it first come out. I love, like you showed the trailer before we started talking about it, and the trailer really gravitated towards me, and I really enjoyed the trailer. Now that I've watched it again, it doesn't hold up as much as it did the first time, but I still enjoyed it. I'm going to be fair, and I think I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It's got great, I do like the story, and I do like the actor. All the actors are perfect in their own, but I just think the effects in certain elements of the story don't hold up as well as that they did when I first seen it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, this is the first time I'd seen this. You know, as the movie went along, my score kind of went up, but like I agree with you, it's a 7 out of 10. But a lot of that's because the actors in this are just amazing, every single one of them. I think that I would have liked this a lot more if they had gone away from the witchcraft stuff and maybe just kind of gone with deception. So think of Shogun and how they do things. If they had stuck to more of like a more realistic story, even if Keanu Reeves is still playing Kai, it still would have been a little bit better than what we got. I mean, I know they're trying to make it entertaining, so
it probably would have still worked, if not worked better, if it was more like a proper, like, you know, like Last Samurai, a proper traditional historical drama based on the real lives of the 47 Ronin and take out the fantasy element. But I think they deliberately done that because they were trying to bring something different. You know, you had things like Lord of the Rings had blew up. You know, you had Harry Potter. So they thought, well, why don't we do like a Korean-based fantasy movie and do something different to Harry Potter, or like
they kind of played with it like they did with the 300. You know, it's like the 300 is based off a real event, but they kind of made stuff monstrous in there to make it look more intimidating and all that. So I think that's kind of like what they were going for.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And even though the film was classed as a box office flop, it's grown kind of a cult following, and it's grown kind of a fan base since its first release. And because of that, in 2022, they did a sequel straight to streaming called The Blades of the 47 Ronin. Now, that blew up on streaming services and as well, like, and because that blew up and being well, like, they're actually talking about a third one.
Oh, really? I'll have to check out the other one.
Yeah, so I do know, I haven't seen The Blades of the 47 Ronin, but I do know it's set 100 years after the events of the first movie.
So tell everybody what you have coming up on the entertainment headquarters.
So for the rest of this week on Friday, you and I with Anthony Jordan and Mr. Tony of the Dead will be going ahead and doing the next Into the Darkness franchise discussion, my segment on the channel where I talk about horror movies and horror franchises. And we're going to be looking at the Hills Have Eyes franchise. We're doing the first 2 original movies, then we're doing the remake and the remake sequel. And then that Sunday, I believe we're going to be doing The Magic Serpent, which is a mixture of fantasy and kaiju and samurai. And once we get past there, the following week, you and I will be meeting up again, my friend, on the Wednesday to talk about another samurai movie called 11 Rebels, which is something that I was introduced to by our good friend, That Fat Samurai Guy. So that's what I've got coming up for the rest of this week and next week.
Awesome. For me, tomorrow, as always, I'll get together with Mr. Tony the Dead for the evening. We're going to do recording for our picks for Ghouls of Midnight. Mine this week will be Divinity from 2023. Stars Scott Bakula as well as Steven Dorff. Then his pick will be, I think, 1967's Vault of Horror. So it's an anthology. Which was a lot of fun to check out. So we'll be reviewing that. As you stated, come Thursday, we're going to be doing Into the Darkness for the Hills Have Eyes franchise. And then later in the evening, I'm getting together with Olvin and Anthony Jordan to do another review for the movie Weapons that came out this year. Saturday, for the Silver Screen Savants, we have a pick for Olvin this week called Halloween that you might know about from 1978.
Never heard of it.
So we're kind of on a horror kick right now. So we'll be checking that out. And then next month is the month of the wolf. And this guy over here has got a lot planned for us in that terms, but we also have another cinematic synergy along with the theme. And we are going to be talking about the Wolf of Snow Hollow. So that's going to be the next cinematic synergy, but be prepared. There's going to be a lot of woofy stuff and hairy stuff going on in the month of October, and a lot of fun for sure.
Definitely.
So please go like and subscribe to the Entertainment Headquarters. A lot of great content over there. I just did a bunch of he did a tribute to Akira Kurosawa. Amazing tribute. I love the intro to that, and the discussion was great. Just the guy was a legend in directing, and just an amazing guy all the way around.
Yeah. And if you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe to the Metal Tavern Radio, because my good friend, guess what? He's amazing. He does amazing content himself. If you like your heavy metal movies, I was going to say, if you like your heavy metal music as well as your movie content, he is the man.
Appreciate it. As always, thank you, sir, for being here today. And for the rest of you, give us your comments. How do you feel about 47 Ronin? Agree, disagree, it's fine. Just be civil. And then we'll see you next time on the Cinematic Synergy here on the Metal Time Radio podcast.
You see me for